So I will start as I will say host. Welcome everybody. My name is Meg Kurowską. I'm from Laboratorium Zmiany. You can also know me as a Meg, probably. And I'm not alone here today. Today we are going to talk with some experts in their fields. And I can start with my colleague Karolinę Pisz. Could you say something more about yourself?
Hello, my name is Karolinę and I am a vice president of our foundation, Laboratory for Change.
So we are all from Opole, but we have also friends from our Europe partner from Iceland. And maybe we can start with Bryndís. Bryndís, can you tell us something more about yourself?
My name is Bryndís. I'm Icelandic. I've been living in Europe for the last 30 years, but I have a very good connection with Iceland and a lot of colleagues there. And I have been a project manager for Evris Foundation, amongst other things, for 2 or 3 years now.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So the last but not least, Kolla. Can I call you Kolla?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Okay, so could you tell us more?
Yes, my name is Kolbrún, but I always use the name Kolla. I am a project manager for equality in the Department of Education and Youth in Reykjavík. My project is called the Equality School of Reykjavík, and I service all our primary schools, preschools, and leisure clubs and after-school programs in Reykjavík. I service them with matters of gender equality and sexual education and sexual violence prevention.
Thank you very much. So basically, we and our audience know who we are, but what's the point of our meeting and our conversation? Because this will be the form of conversation. Maybe I can say just a little bit about our foundation, I mean Laboratorium Zmiany. Basically, I will say this in very loose translation, Laboratorium Zmiany Foundation or Foundation for Changes, as we also use in English, is the NGO who helps women to take care of themselves in life, in relations, and in work and the workplace. And we are doing this in very various, I would say, workshops, some projects, and so on. I don't want to go into some details, but we are focused on empowering women and girls to achieve something beautiful in their lives. So this is basically a few words about our foundation, maybe few words about Evris Foundation. Would you tell us more, Bryndís?
Yes. Evris Foundation is a non-profit private foundation based in Iceland, and it has specialized in establishing tailor-made teams for projects like this one, where we get together or find the right expert to suit the project at hand. So when they approach us as a partner, we ask them to describe to us in as much detail as possible what kind of experience and expertise and knowledge they are searching for, and we will try to find the expertise that fits their program perfectly. And we've been doing this for several years now, and it's been extremely successful. And we think it's extremely important to exchange information and knowledge and education between cultures and countries as much as we can. And I can assure you that it's always an exchange, because we always all learn from these cooperations, these partnerships.
Thank you so much. So I will pass my voice to Karolinę, and she will bring us more context about our conversation today. So Karolinę, tell us please more about this project, in Polish równoważnik.
Yes. So maybe I will start that most of our projects approach the term of the gender equality, and in this project is the same situation. So in this project, we will be helping high schools, middle schools, to create their own standards about gender equality. And so we will be working with teachers, with pupils, and also with the whole environment of those schools. So we can create the safe space to learn, to teach, of course, and with the gender equality on mind. And that's why we asked Evris Foundation to help us, because as we know, we are not so we don't have so many experience right now in building societies which have in mind the gender equality standards. And also, it is worth to mention that this project is financed by EOU.
EEA grant.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have it in here somewhere written down. I know the name perfect Polish, and then in English it just clicked out of my mind. So the project is the whole program. The name of the whole program is Active Citizenship, and right now we are very happy that we get funds to do our project. So first we will be cooperating with schools, but to do that in a proper way, we will learn more about good practices from Iceland.
Yes, that's right. Because in our opinion and in our, I would say, in our minds, Iceland is the way we should go for it, for these standards. But you know, we are working with people. The gender equality and equality, it's all about working with people. It's not something that you can change in one day. You need time to do this, and you need patience to do this. So I know that Iceland approached this level not in one day, not in 1 year. You need more time and more work. Could you tell us more about the context, how it started, maybe some milestones, so we will have this bigger picture how to approach and achieve this level?
Yeah,
maybe Bryndís.
Yeah, I can do that. As you say, Iceland it's regularly mentioned now as the one of the leaders in gender equality in the world, and there is truth, at least in the numbers. The World Economic Forum releases its global gender gap index every year, where they measure the extent of gender-based gaps. And Iceland has kept the #1 spot since 2009 for 12 years in a row. And according to this statistics, Iceland has closed almost 88% of its overall gender gap. Most of the Nordic countries are quite high up there as well. But like you said, Meg, this status cannot be reached overnight, and not without a rather long struggle and the participation of different forces in society. Gender equality is a broad issue, and it needs to be put into this context of history. And I'm just going to mention some stepping stones of the last 100 years. Don't worry, it's not it might be long in years, but in the beginning, at least, the achievements were few and far between, so it won't take very long. But if we start around 1900, between and after the turn of the century, 1900, there had already been some small steps taken. There was equal inheritance rights of men and women. Girls were going into schools. And there was an establishment of a Women's Rights Association, and the first steps towards voting rights were being taken. And then in 1920, all women gained the voting rights and the right to hold office. And only a couple of years later, the first woman was elected to the parliament from a woman's list. And there's, as you see, then a rather long history of women's lists in politics in Iceland. But it took another 30 years before Iceland had its first female mayor in 1957, even if there were some women in the town councils at the time. But then, as well, the voting rights were kind of also in a global context, because this was happening in many countries all over the world in the 1920s, even earlier in some Nordic countries. And then another global movement was in the 60s and 70s with the Red Stockings. And they saw the pace towards gender equality move a bit faster again. And the first law on equal pay in Iceland was being passed in 1961. The first female minister in 1970. And then more have followed. And today, there's a new government in Iceland since just before the end of last year, and there are 5 out of 12 women. There have been more. There has been a 50-50 at one stage. But in my opinion, there was a great moment in this history of women of gender equality, and that was the women's strike in Iceland in 1975. And that the echo of that kind of reverberates with a whole generation, which is basically my generation who were children at the time. And we saw 90% of women, and we're not only talking about women who were working as employees somewhere, housewives, child carers, everybody, 90% of women walked out of what they were doing in the home and in the workplace. And this was to demonstrate the importance of all work that women were doing. So this was a huge milestone, I think, in the power, the empowerment of women, feeling that they could do certain things. And this is in 1975, and it's still marked every day. It's in October. I can't remember which, 24th of October or something. So it's still celebrated every day. And I think the tradition now is that on that day in October, Icelandic women walk out of their workplace, or I don't know if all of them do it, but at the time when they have actually fulfilled their kind of work contribution as compared to men, which is then a couple of hours earlier or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers. But only a year after this strike, the first Gender Equality Act was passed and the Gender Equality Council was established. So this is clearly having an immediate impact. And then the next influential year was in 1980, when Iceland voted for a female president. And that was the first in the world to be voted democratically as a woman. And I think it's important because that generations growing up with images of both men and women in charge of issues in society in front of you, it inspires them and gives them the notion that everything is possible. And further steps can always be taken towards gender equality. And then in the 80s, the Women's Alliance, a very strong political party, was established and run both in local and parliament elections and with a quite considerable success. And then in the 90s, the equal rights of men and women, the words, found their way into the constitution of the country. And then another shift is taking place in 2000, when fathers got 2 weeks paid parental leave in 1997, which was then extended to 3 months in 2003. And at that point, women's rights and equality in practice became gender equality. In 2021, parental leave was increased to 12 months, and both parents are warranted the same time. And in the last 10 to 15 years, there have been more barriers broken. The first female prime minister, that was in 2009. And in her government, there was the same number of female and male ministers. Gender quotas have been introduced, both on boards, both in companies, corporate companies, and in pension funds. Equal pay certificates have been legalized, and law on gender economy have been passed. So it's still moving. And today's Gender Equality Act is from 2020, and the objective of that act is to prevent discrimination on the basis of gender and to maintain gender equality and equal opportunities for genders in all spheres of society. The Prime Minister's office is in charge of enforcing the act, and that is done in cooperation with a special institution called the Directorate of Equality, and they provide advice, public education, and information concerning gender equality. And then every 4 years, the Minister for Gender Equality must submit a motion for parliamentary resolution on a 4-year gender equality action plan after having received proposals from the relevant ministries and institutions. And now that the context is here, we could look, of course, at the developers of the future. Because, like we have talked about before, gender equality is a moving target. And we cannot take our eyes off the ball before we will probably experience a backlash. And just to take us right up to date, last week, our Prime Minister, Karolinę Pisz, on the 25th of January last week, she was introducing the Universal Periodic Review on Human Rights to the EU for Iceland. And she said in her speech, and I quote, "We firmly believe that progressive policies aimed at advancing gender equality are the foundation for an inclusive, just, and rights-based society where everyone can prosper." The report itself, however, states, and I quote again, "It is clear that improvements are still needed, and therefore efforts towards gender equality continue to be a priority." And this is important. We have reached many goals, but it will continue. There are always things that can improve. And this is where I think maybe not only education on gender equality in schools and elsewhere is extremely important, but also that students will experience the positive side of gender equality in their work and play throughout their school lives, because this will give them confidence and the right tools to take into society as adults, promoting gender equality and knowing that it will benefit all genders.
Thank you very much for the words that for the whole speech, of course, but for the last words that it's that there is for all of us there is still a lot to do. So even the Iceland, you achieved so many goals. You have a lot to do because that gives us hope. That and we can see the cat. Yeah, of course, and because that gives us hope that if there is something we cannot achieve right now, maybe we need some time, maybe we have to put some work on it, maybe we have to wait for some changes, and then we will achieve it a little bit later. So it's not like we will have a perfect plan to do this and this and that, and then we will have gender equality and equal pay and equal representation at the parliament and so on. So this is the work which continues, and it's not very easy, but very with a lot of satisfaction. I have a general question. Because you said that you are the witness of those changes. Can you say about some example? What was then, and how is it now for a regular person?
Well, if I just speak from a woman's perspective, who's kind of getting close to 60, well, I'll be 58 next month, and has basically grown up with seeing the women around me. My mother, for example, just taking a very personal example. My mother got married and started to have children when she was 19, which was quite normal for her generation, got out of school and started to be a housewife. when I'm about 14 maybe, she goes back to school. And she goes through the whole school system, takes her baccalaureate and goes to university. So basically, when we were doing our secondary education, which from Iceland at that time was between the age of 16 and 20, me and my mother were together at school for 1 year. And then we were together at university, not studying the same thing, but we were there. We have the same friends. So basically, for a child to grow up knowing that whatever the choices you have made, you can actually reconsider and make other choices, because somebody in society, of course, there were huge forces of women doing a lot of work to prepare for this to happen. And we kind of got the benefits of it all. So it gives you a belief that anything is possible, that you're not confined by society in your choices. And at that stage in the development, it was very important to see that a woman could basically make a choice and then reconsider it and make another choice and have a full career at the end of it.
I don't know, for me it's a beautiful example. Like, you know, from your, I have to mention that in our project, we have this report from this project, and it says that for young women and girls, it's very important to have role models in very near environment, like mother, like sisters, aunts, and so on. So to see the changes in your environment empowers you and encourages you to achieve something what is crucial for you. So I'm glad that you shared with us this very personal example. It also, I don't know, reminds me how it's important to make sure that you are in the right environment and to reach for people who can inspire you.
Yeah, and there is an importance, of course, that you have to be able to somehow, or this environment has to be created. So you because that gives you confidence to take the next step, because there will always be a next step.
Yes. Okay, so about that, I'm sorry, Meg, because you wanted to say something.
No. You can continue, please.
Okay, about that environment which must be created to achieve next goals, to have some choices. Kola, in your opinion, how does it look like in Iceland? I mean, this learning, teaching environment, how does it look like right now? And learning, teaching environment and gender equality. Yeah, I'm finished.
Yeah, I think it's this is something that every Icelander, I believe, thinks like this is a normal thing. We are quite equal, and we are on top of the World Economic Forum list, so we are proud of that. But of course, we have backlashes, as Bryndís said. We go 2 steps forwards and 1 step back. But in our national curriculum, gender equality is one of the main pillars. We have like 6 pillars, and gender equality is one of them, and democracy and human rights is another. So this is very important to all of us. But despite that, we do not have it's not in the everyday curriculum like classes about gender equality. It's just something that every headmaster is supposed to be thinking about. We are always supposed to be gender mainstreaming and working towards that. So every school is supposed to be thinking about always making the environment safe for every children, making all their dreams come true. Every child should have the same opportunity, regardless of sex, gender, orientation, disability. So it's something that we're always supposed to be doing, and we're always supposed to be looking inside, like through our material. Is it like very gender stereotyped? Can I change that? How do I talk to the children? Do I praise the girls for being polite and boys for being tough, not crying? All these things, we're supposed to be evaluating ourselves regularly. So though we're not teaching it, like, as I said, in everyday classes, we do have some workshops, we have some pilot projects, we do have like primary schools that are especially aiming on these subjects. Like they have like this, the boys are separate, the girls are separate, and if we have a trans child, then that child can choose which group it wants to be in. And in these kindergartens or primary schools, they are working especially to teach boys about their feelings, how to talk about their feelings. They teach them to be kind to one another. They train them in all the things that the society is telling them that is feminine. And again, with the girl groups, they are teaching them to be courageous, loud, taking power, claiming the space. So this is done to try to, to break up the stereotypes all around them in the society. So, and these schools are very popular. Parents choose if they want to put their children to that school or another, and these are very popular. They are not trying to change boys into girls and girls into boys. It's not like that. It's just giving them safe space and opportunity to go outside of their comfort zone, basically.
It's kind of it's extending being in a way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So they both have all sides of what they see around them, not only one. They can have the whole scale for themselves.
So they can choose. So later they can choose and find where in this whole spectrum they are.
Yeah, exactly. And also we have, like, as I said, pilot projects and workshops, and that has been very exciting to see how that evolves, because we see like teenagers being quite strong, because we have like this youth council in Reykjavík, where the youth council has one meeting every year with the city council, where they have the opportunity to say what is on their minds, and the city council tries to fulfill what they're asking for. And the teenagers are very much into gender equality. So they are demanding things like they want sanitary products, like tampons and so on, in all the schools. They want to have much more violence prevention. They want to break the stereotypes even more in the schools. So they're quite loud, and that's great. So we're very proud of them. So we see it in all corners.
Thank you for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm amazed.
Yeah, right now I'm thinking about the Polish teenagers. So I think that they want the same things as Icelandic teenagers. So of course we have a big debate right now about the tampons and pads and so on, and the girls and not only girls in our schools, they are demanding that, and we know some teachers who are helping them, and there are some there's even a very popular action that those sanitary things should be for free in every school, and some of them, or some of public schools, have a special box. It's like a first aid or something like that. But right now I'm thinking what you said at the beginning, that it is very important to think about the gender equality all the time, not to have a special workshop or action about the gender equality, but to do everything having in mind this issue. I am 100% sure that most of the teachers and the parents, they want the best for their children or for the children or youth they are teaching, and they want them to achieve their dreams, etc. And nobody in Poland say that, oh, you cannot do this because you are a girl, or you cannot do this because you are a boy, like out loud. But we have so many, we have to deal with so many stereotypes, because we all are raised in some kind of culture, and we have to, just like you said, think about it all the time. Just, okay, what I just said to my pupil, right? I just said to her, oh, you look so nice, or I don't know, oh, don't worry that you're not so good at math, to a girl, right? And the stereotypes are that girls are not so good at math. And what I wanted to say, that it is for me, it is I cannot wait to know more about how you are doing it, how you are putting this approach in everyday situations at schools, because for me it's the most challenging, but also it is something that can give a profit in a very long time, and be effective for a very long time. Because one workshop, we can.
Does not solve.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can discuss about something, we want to change something, but it will be only during the workshop, not during the specific period of time or in a specific situation. Do you have? Can you give us an example of some things one of the school do or stopped doing? Maybe it can be something very small, which makes you feel, I don't know, very proud, or you want to share as a good practice.
Yeah, well, what would I say? We have a. Yep, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, of course, there are tools that, I mean, you are working with, which are, I think, issued by this Directorate of Equality in Iceland, and that is an equality plan, the guidelines for all companies and institutions. And I assume, well, Kolla can tell you all about it, that this is the kind of almost like a toolbox. At least you will have, and you will have advice from that institute if you need. But then, of course, Kolla has some.
Yeah, that's true, and that's very important, because we have like this demand. Every school must give a work plan for gender equality every 3 years. So they have to be reconsidering, what have we done well, what do we have to do better, where are opportunities to expand this, and of course we have schools, we have teachers, we have headmasters that are not paying attention to this, of course, but they are supposed to. And my job is to remind them and to support them and train them. And I, for example, have like checklists that I send to my schools just for them, for each teacher to go through the checklist. Am I doing this? Can I do this? How is the environment? How are my praises? How is my teaching materials? And it's very easy for them to just use to look over and see what they're doing. But we have like very exciting, how do I say, seminars for teenagers. Like we have one that's called like, "Are you normal?" It's like, I don't know if you use the word normal, but it's like it's called that. Are you normal? And it's about the teenagers looking into their society and their environment and thinking like, what are the unwritten rules of the society? Like, for example, can girls have a hairy legs, or can they have hair under their armpits? Can a boy put on a nail polish, something like that? And they're thinking like, who decides? Why can girl not be like this, and why can a boy not be like this? Can I not be sexy if I'm fat, or something like that? And they're thinking about it, and they're like talking about it and learning about it, like about gender stereotypes. And then they find something that they believe is important to break, like some stereotype, and they put it up and take a picture of it. And in the end of the semester, they have like this big photo, no, what's the word?
Collage?
Yeah, like a photo exhibition.
Exhibition, yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we have this exhibition in a public place, usually in the Council of Reykjavík, but we have talked about having it in the mall or in the swimming pools, because we want people to see it and stop by the pictures, because the pictures are like maybe of a group of girls with hairy legs or something like that. And we want people to stop and look and think, wow, this is strange. And then why do I think this is strange? What is this telling me? So the teenagers really, really like this, for example, and what their photographs, they are just amazing to see what they're thinking about. So that's one example of something that we really like.
And I think Kolla is mentioning something that I think is an extremely important point, and that is the participation of the teenagers or the children. Or it's not necessarily something like she mentioned. It doesn't necessarily have to be taught like you teach them mathematics or history. They need to participate. They need to even find their own projects, like she's describing now. They decide what's important for them, and they try to find a way to work towards the solution they want to reach in the end.
Exactly.
This gives power and belief that I can.
During our project, we will be working. Yeah, during our project, we will be working with teachers, with the directors, and of course with teenagers, and to create, like, all together, we create those standards they should or they want to have in their schools. So it is a have something similar. In the school we will be cooperating with, in the schools we will be cooperating with. I'm also thinking that it's about those teachers and directors who are not so into the gender equality approach. For example, in Poland, we usually hear that we have much worse things to deal with. For example, with the aggression, or right now the after pandemic. So the gender equality is like at the bottom of the list, what we should do or what we should take care of. Sometimes we hear that but there's nothing wrong in our school. We are doing everything perfect. So
so you said, to deal with it.
Yeah, everything is all right. Everything is perfect. And Kola, you said that sometimes you have to encourage some teachers or some directors to think about the gender equality. How do you convince them or how do you talk with them?
Well, I'm not sure I can convince them all the time, but I try to think about giving many possibilities. I have workshops, I have lectures, I provide pilot projects, I send them materials. So I try to push on their buttons everywhere I can, to remind them of me and to remind them of equality. If I cannot reach the headmasters, I try to follow the teachers and get them along. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So, but we have as next week, we have this what we called week 6 or vika 6 in Icelandic, because sex, the number 6 in Icelandic means sex, like sexual intercourse and sexual orientation. So we use it as kind of like a word game. This is an idea that comes originally from Denmark, because I have been trying to get our schools to provide better sexual education, and that has been going quite slowly. So I took this idea from Denmark and I'm providing it here in Iceland. So I am doing all kinds of things to get all our schools to provide sexual education for this 1 week. So, and I am making videos, I am making posters, I give them teaching ideas, I give them, I have an Instagram account. I'm trying to use all things that I can to put it in their faces, so they kind of cannot say, no, we don't want to, because all the teenagers are so excited. So they're demanding their teachers to give it to them. So I am kind of pushing it like that hard that it's hard for them to say no. So I try everything I can.
And this is the clever thing. This is the clever thing, to get the teenagers so excited that the teachers that they just have to follow it, because that will make them a popular teacher if they actually take the idea and run with it, and the teenagers feel like it was actually their idea to do it in the first place even. So that's I think that's a good recipe.
Very smart.
Yeah.
The whole idea of our project started when one of our participants, she's attending in a class where there's 28 boys and only 3 girls. Of course, it's informatics, something. And the whole school, in the whole school, there are mainly boys, because it's electric something, IT something. I don't remember even the Polish name. And she said to us that she and her colleagues, female colleagues, struggle a lot before the sport lessons, because they don't have a proper place to change. Because there are some changes in the whole school, they are renovating it, and there are so many girls. Not so many. There are so many boys that they secured the place to change before this and after the sport lessons for boys, but they didn't do it for girls. They just gave them a little place somewhere near the teachers' room where everybody can go. Well, they lock, but they don't have the key, so actually they don't lock. So, and right now but this situation happened like 2 years ago, and right now we know that everything is okay in the school, because she brought that up. She said that it's not fair. She, with the help of her colleagues, they said that we have to do something about it. It's not okay, and the school did it, but after 4 or 5 months. and before her, they didn't do anything. So the story is too long. It should be shorter.
But it's very important because this is how changes happen.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea for our project was to help teenagers like her who see that there is something wrong, right? That we don't have so much power or right or possibilities like the other gender, and to know that if they will say it out loud, nobody will ask them, "Oh, are you sure that that bothers you?" Or it's not a big problem. There are so many bigger problems. This whole school is renovating. So why you are bringing it up? So that she will be sure that this issue matters not only for her but for the whole school society.
Yeah, so, we are like I think. Oh, sorry.
No, continue.
I was just thinking, like, this is similar to what we are some issues we are having in Reykjavík, but we are having it with not girls, but with trans children and non-binary children. So now we are in our schools making like changing rooms, the third changing room. So and then like swimming pools are very popular in Reykjavík, and in every swimming pool in Reykjavík now there is a third changing room. So this is where we are at right now, because our LGBTQ plus society is doing exactly what this girl was doing. They're saying, "Where's our space?" So we're at that place right now.
And this is wondering.
Also... please.
No, I was just going to say it's important that when another group comes and says, "Where is my space? Where are my rights?" They can actually point to say, "Well, this group has already kind of paved the way, and now we might just kind of follow in their footsteps and claim what we think is duly ours." So that's important also as an example.
We mentioned this in many parts of this conversation, some, I would say, problems or obstacles that we need to overcome in case of achieving this gender equality. But let's make it like clear. What do we need to consider that we will need to overcome in our journey to achieve this gender equality? Because we already said something about some effects, like the positive side and positive side of this whole situation, but behind this successful story there is a lot of work and struggle. So could you tell us a bit about some things that we need to have in our minds before we are going to go for this gender equality? From your experience, these backlashes and so on.
I think the first thing is everybody has to feel like Bryndís was saying before. It's very important to look at yourself. You have to feel it in your heart that you want to change something, that there's something wrong. So what I try to do when I'm training my teachers, I always try to get them to look at their own life. Where is something that's not wrong? What have you experienced that you would change? What do you feel that is gender unequal? Because if people do not see this as important, they will not do anything. And then there is the power of the group, because of course one person can't do many things, but if the group takes hands together, we can. It's very hard to ignore the group, and if the group is loud, something will change. as Bryndís was saying, when all the women just left their job and walked out, there was no way for the society to look the other way. They couldn't, because there were so many women. So I think these two things, you have to get the people to feel that we need the change, that something is unequal, and then you have to try to build a group around it.
Thank you very much.
I think this is absolutely totally correct and totally on the issue. The only thing that I could add maybe is that you should be able to have the belief that changes are possible. You have examples everywhere that you look. You have to look for the example. You have to see things are possible. We can change things. We just have to work on it. And of course, there is the magic word is patience. It will be many steps. There will be small, many of them. And like Kolla said before, there are sometimes 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And you have to be prepared to continue. It's an endurance. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly.
Well said. It's a marathon.
Stay
not
positive.
sprint.
Stay positive.
So I'm very glad that we can do this marathon with your help.
Yeah.
And we can.
We'll bring the water. We'll bring the water bottle for you for the marathon.
Exactly, and we can get the necessary tips and advices from you, and we can learn from you. I'm very glad we can do that, and that we will cooperate in this project. Okay, so at the end of our discussion, I might say, is it something we all should remember about the gender equality? Like, we know it needs patience, and we know it's very important for the whole society. But at the end, and according to the project, to cooperating with schools, is it something we all should remember? And this is the question for both of you, Bryndís and Kolla.
Kolla, if you start with the schools.
I don't know what to say. Just that it is our job to provide schools for every children. So if there is something that is unfair, then we are supposed to make it right, because every child deserves that. I think that's just something we have to remember.
And I think also with continuous discussion, what Kolla mentioned before about gender mainstreaming, meaning that you incorporate this factor that there's gender equality becomes the norm, and nobody has to doubt it as a goal. It should be something that it benefits all of us in the end. All genders should benefit, and they should believe it. They will see it.
Okay. I'm so into my mind and thinking how it can the Polish system of education and Poland can change if we all will start with these things you said. It's like a daydreaming, but I believe that it's possible to achieve. So thank you for this faith that we can do this, and we all, as you Bryndís said, we all can benefit from this. Karolina, would you like to say something from you at the end?
So I will say just the same sentence I said like a few minutes before. I am so glad that we will be doing this marathon together, that we will be doing this project together. I am very eager to start, and I hope that when we will meet in person, we can learn from you. We can continue our discussion. I hope that this attitude to think about the gender and equality in every action will spread in schools we will be cooperating with.
So from me, I can just add some, I would say, administrative and technical some thoughts. If you like the idea of our project, you can support us, like share this idea with your friends, colleagues, someone who will benefit from this conversation, this discussion. So just spread the good idea with your friends. If you want to be in touch with us, just follow us with our social media, Foundation for Changes, and Evris, of course. And please follow our project and be in touch with us. So it will help us, to achieve even more than just changing something in 3 schools in Poland, in our Polski Język. So yeah, just stay with us and, I don't know, maybe support us in every possible way suitable for you. And that's all from me. I may say that on behalf of Fundacja Laboratorium Zmiany, thank you for this discussion. Thank you very much, Bryndís. Thank you very much, Kola, for your participation.
Of course, it was very nice being with you.
We are very proud to be your partners.
Yeah.
Great to hear that. And thank you, of course, because I forgot to mention that this discussion is translated into Polish Sign Language. So thank you for all people who are eager to help us to also reach people who are maybe not Polish speaker, but they are speaker of Polish Sign Language. So thank you, everyone, and that's all.